Hey guys, this is Rick, aka Longhorn Arrow, and today I'm going to be giving you guys a guide on how to upgrade your characters. My Alliance members have usually asked a lot of questions about how to make the right choices on which gear or how to upgrade the gear, which options to choose for the gear, which obelisks to equip, which ISO sets to equip. Um, and this guide is to help everyone understand how to make those choices. I'm gonna be doing this on Songbird because just today I got her to 6-star mastery, um, and I haven't done any other work on her other than that. So of course there's a few givens that I think you guys are all aware of. First, get them to 6-star rank, then 6-star mastery. Um, and then get their level all the way to 60, and then skills, of course, maxed. So I haven't worked on Songbird at all, so her skills aren't maxed yet. Um, so that'll come later, and I'll talk around some of the decisions to make with regards to that as well. But it is also important to note that some characters are used just for support, and maybe you're only using one or two of their skills, so you don't always have to upgrade all of their skills. Um, that's like Rocket's probably a good example, where he's really more of a support, and he's not the best choice for the main character. So you could probably get away with only upgrading his 6-star skill and not putting too much effort on the rest of him. But this guide is for a character that you're looking to make one of your main damage dealers. Um, so here goes. First off, let's start with the gears. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through it fresh. So of course we're gonna want to get to 15 first. A little bit of a slow connection here. Not sure what's going on here. Come on, there you go. Okay, so I'm gonna get all the gears to 15 first, just to make it a little bit easier. Okay, so then this is where we really start to do the upgrading. Okay, so um, some of you guys in my alliance, you may hear me referring to the native stats a lot. And let's see if I can turn my um, commenting on here. Here we go. So when I talk about native stats, I'm referring to the ones in that are bright orange. Okay. Um, so again, anything that's in bright orange like that, those are what are called the character's native stats, right? Um, so that's key, especially when you're getting to the fourth gear and sometimes the third gear. So of course, with any character, the first gear is their attack gear. The only option is to boost their attack there. So for Songbird, she's a energy based attacker, right? And that's coming from here, right? It doesn't matter that her that she also has physical attack, right? We're going by the so just because you see physical attack here doesn't mean anything. Um, we're going by what is listed on this page, which is energy attack, right? So because it's energy attack, that means that is her base attack. When you look at her skills, you'll see everything here says energy attack 20%, energy attack 30%, energy attack, or not there, but all the attacking skills are based on her base attack type, which is energy, right? So a lot of people get attack confused with damage, and they are not the same thing. So going back to the skill again, you see that energy attack 20% physical damage. So that means that, that means that 20% of her energy attack stat is dealt as physical damage, and then an additional 135 damage points is added on top of that. So 25%, that's a quarter, so 2,000 energy plus 135, right? So her damage dealt is 2,135, right? I think I did the math a little bit wrong there, but hopefully you get what I'm saying, right? So 20% of 8,000 plus 135, that is dealt as physical damage, right? So that's an important thing to be aware of, and I'll talk a little bit more about it. But for now, the most important thing to be aware of is that she is an energy attack based character, so we should be increasing her energy attack. Okay, and again, with the native stats, that's another place to see it again, right? Native stats says energy attack right there. Okay, so the next question a lot of people have, or the confusion that I've seen among a lot of people, okay, well, let me jump in ahead a little bit. So the first two are going to be by level. The reason we want to do by level is because on the first one, the max we can get for energy attack or all attack is 13, but the max we can get by doing it by level is greater than 50% of level of 60, right? Because her level is 60. So we can get 52% of 60, which would be 30 something, right? So that's obviously a better choice. Even 45% of 60 is still higher than 13. So it's a given on all characters that you do the first one by level. And again, since she's energy based, we're going to do energy by level, right? So on this one, we can do the auto change because we only want one type to result, right? We only want to accept energy attack by level. And hopefully these will go fast and I won't run out of money while doing this. I was hoping to save up to have just a little bit more in case there were going to be issues. There we go. So 50.1%. So now she's got just slightly over 30 energy attack, which is higher than 13, right? Okay, for the second one, it's actually the same thing, okay? Because, so actually, maybe it's not quite the same. It's you have a couple of options. So if we were to go with all attack or energy attack, the max we could get is 29. If we were to go by energy, get energy attack by level, we could possibly get 30 or 31, right? So there's a trade-off there. You could really try to get energy attack by level, but you could get 45%, which is less than 29, right? So, but the bottom line is we really have three options there. We can do energy attack, all attack, or energy attack by level, because any one of them may result in a good selection or good selection. Okay, so real quick, I want to talk about energy attack versus all attack. So again, because people get confused about the difference between damage and attack, a lot of folks seem to assume that because her skills are dealing physical damage, that they need to equip all attack on her first gear. But that's not the case. It doesn't matter that she is dealing physical damage. It is calculated from her energy attack, right? So you don't have to equip her with all attack on the other options. You can equip her with energy or all attack. All attack is just as good as energy attack. Energy attack is just as good as all attack for her, because all attack, of course, affects both, right? It doesn't really help to increase her physical attack at all, because that's not what her base energy or her base attack is. So you can upgrade that all you want. It's not going to change how her damage is dealt, right? Only changing her energy is going to affect that. However, in this case, for the second option, that actually makes it much cheaper for us because now we've got three options. We can do energy attack, all attack, or energy attack by level. So instead of doing the auto change, I'm going to do the manual change, right? And I'm going to accept any one of those three so long as it's 29 or higher. So here we go. And this may take a while. Hopefully it'll go quickly. Energy attack 25, that's too low. The max was 29. I want to get 29 or higher. Physical attack is no good. No good. By level, I actually got to calculate. What is 45% times 45.5% times 60 is 27.3. So got to keep going. 50% energy attack, 50% by level, right? Perfect. So now I've got 30 energy attack, right? So if I had landed on 30, or if I had landed on 29 all attack or 29 energy, I would have been happy with that as well. And anything above 50% by level energy attack is also excellent. Okay, so now for the rest of them. So here's where I've seen a lot of people put all attack across the board. And in this case, it's maybe not the greatest example because these have all fallen into place automatically. I'll do some extra upgrades, but so let's look at what's there though first. So 56 all attack, pretty good, right? Max is 60. I'm not going to change it right now. Energy attack, 86, right there in the middle. I'm not going to change that either. So again, energy attack is what I care about. If it was all attack, great, but energy attack is the exact same thing. 111, that's a little low, but I'm going to stick with it for now just so I can focus on the other ones. 139 is definitely low, so I will definitely change that in a little bit, but let's go add a new one first, okay? So let's add a option. And I'm probably going to run out of materials on her, so hopefully, I'll do it right. Okay, so now we've got, and she ended up, okay, that one actually didn't add a new option. So let me save my bios just in case I need them for the other ones. But hopefully you get the point there that for an energy-based attacker, energy is the same as all attack. For a physical-based attacker, physical is the same as all attack, right? So there's no need to waste gold trying to roll all attack when energy attack provides the exact same thing. Okay, so you can do those manually. So now let's move on to defense. Okay, so going back to the main screen, she's an energy-based attacker, which usually means energy-based attackers usually have higher energy defense than they do physical defense, right? That's almost always the case, right? So generally, when you go back to the defensive upgrades, whichever their weakest defense is, you want to upgrade that first. So since her physical defense is the weak one, I want to work on that. So I'm going to choose physical defense by level again, right? Because 50% of 60 is higher than 10. So here, pick physical defense by level. I can basically accept any result if it's by level. Later on, as I'm trying to tweak her and get, maximize her output, then then I may start messing with that. But I'm not going to waste a lot of gold early on, right? So there you go, 47.9% physical defense by level. Okay, so here, what I've started to do on the second option for defense is to go ahead and balance off the other one. So, but depending on the character, if their weak defense is really, really weak, then really the best option is to equip the opposite defense again, the weak defense again. So let's do that here. So I'll equip her physical defense by level again, right? Oops, physical defense by level. So sometimes if their defense is pretty equal, then I'll go ahead and put the other one here. And so maybe I would have put energy defense by level, but again, I'm trying to shore up her physical defense as much as possible. Okay, so physical defense by level on the first and second one. Now the rest, I think pretty much everybody seems to understand that the rest of them are all the the all defense, the hard number, whatever you want to call that, right? All the rest of the buy levels are going to be much lower than um, the the straight stat, right? So easy decision for all the rest of them. Put all defense. And again, I'm not going to worry about tweaking these to get the maximum value out. I never worry about that until I've taken the character into battle and really had a chance to try them out. And if I find that they're just not performing, then I'll come back and look at their stats and see where they need a little bit of additional buff. So for now, all defense across the board. And I won't worry about upgrading this gear at all right now, because even if once I get it to 20, all the rest are going to be all defenses. Okay, so same thing for option 3, for gear 3. There's very few times where you're going to choose anything other than HP as the third gear option, right? So let's do that again here. So once again, the first option should always be by level. So we're going to do HP by level. Okay, I'm going to stick with what I got there first. So here's one where it's a little bit trickier because there's not necessarily a whole lot of difference. So if I were to choose just straight HP, the max would be 112. If I were to choose HP by level, let's see, is the bottom is 1.65 times 60 is 99, right? So 99 is still higher than the lowest straight HP, which is 96, and 192.5 times 60, that's 115, right? So basically, I personally choose HP by level most of the time, but I'm going to do it manually here real quick and just show why you can really possibly save a little bit of money, a little bit of gold by not doing this one using the auto choice. So remember, we can choose either HP by level or HP. And the lowest values are 96 if we had got the straight value, and then it would have been 99 by level, right? And the max would have been 115 if we had done it by level, or 112 the straight value, right? So I got 110. The max I could have got was 115 if I had done it by level, but it may have cost me a lot of gold to finally get 192.5. To me, it's not worth it yet, right? That's where, since I'd only be gaining 5 more points max, it's not worth it yet to try to do that. So I'm gonna stick with this one. The rest are all going to be straight HPs, right? No debate there, because all the values are greater than the by level alternative. So there are some characters where, and they're pretty rare, where you would not choose HP. Silk is one of them. And when I first built her, I had HP across the board, like most of my characters. But then our Alliance team member, Megapane, he equipped his Silk with dodge, and I saw the effect it had. Really made a pretty big difference, right? If she never gets hit, then you almost don't really need her heal. I mean, her health. But you've really got to, sort of try them out, in my opinion, try them out, see how they work, and before you make a decision like that. But a key aspect of it is that, just like I was saying earlier, dodge is one of Silk's native stats, right? Whereas, and remember, the native stats are in orange, right? So dodge is not a native stat anywhere on here. So if for whatever reason you decided you didn't want to equip HP, then the only option that you would possibly should be looking at would be, actually I don't know if there are any other options, attack speed or crowd control time, which aren't in here, right? If movement speed had been there, I might have selected, but dodge, movement speed, and recovery rate, none of them are native stats. So if I tried to increase them here, adding a percentage on a stat that is not there is not going to increase it. So I think all characters have some, or many characters might have some amount of native stat, but most of them don't, right? You look at all these zeros you see on this page. Anything else you see that is a smaller number, that's really coming, and I probably should have shown this screen before I started, but anything that you see in there right now that has already got some additional increases to it. Trying to get my, there it goes. Like you look at the critical rates and critical damage and the ignored defense, that's all coming from my card set right now, right? Because I haven't done any upgrade on her. Plus the little bit of upgrading that comes with 6-star mastery and that. But most of what you're seeing there is coming from cards and from the Alliance bonuses, not from any kind of upgrading, right? So everything else, let's like dodge, I can tell you right now that, let's see, if I click over on that and close this, dodge 8%, right? So she's only got 1% dodge that's coming from anything native, right? So if I added more dodge on her from the third gear, I could add, an extra 75% dodge, but 75% dodge added on 1% is not going to do much, right? So it's sort of pointless. So that's the whole reason why you don't want to upgrade any stat that is not native. Now we can sort of manipulate those native stats by equipping ISO and to some extent the obelisk, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so now we're on to the fourth gear. Here's where you're really making decisions again. So now it's all, pure. This should purely be based on native stats here, right? Because you're not buffing anything else. So critical rate, defensive penetration are native, critical damage, attack speed, crowd control time. I don't ever increase the attack speed just because it's just, to me, there's not enough value that you get out of it. I'm not even entirely certain what the difference is. I don't know if that's how quickly they actually perform their skill or what, but because of that reason, I don't think it's very valuable. I really don't see many people actually choosing attack speed, so we're not going to do that. Skilled cooldown, that may be really important. Defensive penetration, that is definitely extremely important for world bosses. Less so important for other aspects of the game, but world bosses have incredibly high defense. So if you're trying to build your character to beat world bosses, defense penetration is a must. But you don't have to do it in these gears. You just have to be aware that's something you want to build up. So, the obvious choices for the fourth gear here are going to be critical rate, critical damage, defense penetration, and skilled cooldown. But let's hold off for just a little bit. Let's take a look at her skills, right, and decide what we want to do. So, and this is where, let's say, let me use her 6-star skill. I need to get one of them up as high as I can. I think this may use up all of my gold. Actually, I think it will use my All Might Gold. I'll do this instead. So let's go to character guide instead. Okay, let's take a look at her max ranked, max level. Actually, the level probably is not going to matter here, but certainly mastery. Okay, so we can take a look at her tier 1 first, which shouldn't, tier 1, tier 2 shouldn't affect anything we see on her skills. I don't believe it will. Let's take a look at that. 20%, 20%. I don't think it changed anything, right? So here's what I really want to look at is, what do her skills do? We want to look at the cooldown time, which is 6 seconds on the first one, 7 seconds, 14 seconds, which is high, and that's a shield, right? Guards 5 hits. That's probably the most key one right there, right? That we need to bring that shield down, right? When we look at characters like Loki and Sharon Rogers and Silk, their shield is so important to why they're such great characters, right? We want to make sure that their cooldown time for that shield is as low as possible. 14 seconds is way too high. Okay, and look at the others, 10 seconds, 17 seconds. That 17 seconds also really high, right? So, and with dealing 223% attack, that's a lot of damage it's going to deal, right? Basically, twice the attack value plus some additional gives Delta as energy damage, right? So we want that cooldown as much also. Okay, so looking like skill cooldown is probably what I'm going to choose. We can also go back in here and look at our card sets as well. The main detailed page is what we really care about, but if we look at what our cards are currently contributing, that helps as well. So right now my cooldown contribution from cards is 21%. Right, so that's about a quarter cooldown. The max cooldown, by the way, is 50%. Right, so I only really need to add another 25% somewhere. You also should keep in mind that the Alliance bonuses don't show up here in the details page for whatever reason, right? So I think we're getting an additional 12% cooldown bonus from our Alliance bonuses. So that number is actually 33%, right? So again, still looking at cooldown as probably the most likely choice. But I'm not going to make the decision yet. That's one of the ones I wait a while on. Okay, next we're going to check what ISO set we end up with. But I do want to quickly discuss the selection of ISO sets as well, right? Because we're going to do an auto roll, but we got to know when do we accept the set that we wind up with, right? So we have a set in mind that we're trying to roll for, but sometimes we say, hey, that one's a pretty good one, let's accept it. Other times we say, yeah, that's good, but it's not good enough, or we say that one's terrible, right? So how do we determine that? So many of you guys may not realize that Netmarble built in a little hint for us on all these, and it's the set that is automatically equipped on each character. So you see here that she's equipped with a Grasp Weak Point, which has all attack, critical rate, and then an all attack process bonus, right? So that's telling us that, and then if by the way, if you looked at any other Blast character, let me see if I can find some other ones that aren't built up yet. Let's go to MODOK. Grasp Weak Point. Go to Wiccan. Grasp Weak Point, right? All Blast characters automatically have Grasp Weak Point, which boosts their all attack, their critical rate, and has a all attack proc. If you look at all speed characters automatically have a healing ISO set it's always the healing factor one, which boosts their defense, crowd control time, and of course gives them the recovery. Right? If you look at universals, which I'm probably not going to have a good one here because I've upgraded them all already, but universals always start out with it's a shield one. I can't remember which one it is. Let's take a look. Maybe no, I've already changed his. Um, all universal characters also automatically start out with the improved viability. That's the one, yeah. Improved viability, right? Improved viability boosts their health, boosts their recovery rate, but it doesn't necessarily give them a healing ability, but it gives them a shield, right? So that's something important to keep in mind, is that Netmarble felt that the universals all needed a shield and health bonus. And then combat is also an attack set. Combat characters are also start out with an attack set. I think it's improves, yeah. So look at all these combats that show up. They all have improved strength, right? All attack, speed, and an all attack proc. So that's just something to keep in mind. They're giving you a hint right there on what you should be focusing on. However, keep in mind there's always exceptions, and sometimes you want to maybe want to veer from that rule and choose something else. I, however, think those rules work very well, and so that's generally what I choose. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be hoping for an attack set. I am going to be happy with a cooldown set, right? Because we were just talking that I needed to bring her skill cooldown lower. I will have to debate on a heal set if I receive one. Basically, the only heal set that I'll accept will be I Am Also Groot, because it also has attack boost. Stark Backing is a purely defensive set, and that's not what I'm looking for. So healing when you're only boosting your defense, that's not good. I need something that boosts your attack and provides something additional. So first choice is going to be an attack set. Second choice will be a skill cooldown set. Third choice would be I Am Also Groot. Anything else, I'm going to keep rolling, and we'll see how this turns out. If I hope it's not going to cost me more than 4 million gold. I'm not going to spend that much, so I may have to stop at some point just to avoid spending all my gold. Okay, got to keep going. Unless you have no gold left and you really need to get this character, you need to use them for a battle, there's really no reason to leave anything lower than an 8 ISO set on your character. You're going to equip all that ISO anyway. Might as well have it working for you and helping to give additional bonuses. Keep going. So I started at, I think, about 4.5 million gold. Looks like I'm at 3.7 million now. I generally like to start rolling with at least 5 million gold in my pocket, just because that's about what it takes if you're trying to aim for a specific ISO set. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you get really unlucky. One thing I do, which is probably more psychological than anything, is if I keep rolling and rolling and nothing's happening, I try to reset the probabilities there, right? Just exit real quick, go back in, try again. Sometimes this seems to really work, other times it has no impact. it's all random anyway, right? So really nothing you can really do is impacting it. Like I said, I think it's more psychological than anything. Hey, there you go. I am also Groot. So I said that was the third choice, was the last thing I would possibly accept, right? So if this had been Stark backing, I would have kept rolling, right? I really wanted an attack set. I didn't get it. This is the first eight ISO set I hit, right? And it was the only healing set I was willing to accept. So I'm gonna keep it for now, right? Um, but I'm still on the fence. It was my last choice, so I'm not gonna equip any expensive ISO for now. I'm gonna take all my really cheap ISO, right? My 3 stars, no, nothing higher than 3 star, because eventually I might change it. So I don't want to, have to destroy, a 5 or 6 star ISO. So I'm gonna equip this first, and it's got to be an all attack, right? I can't equip her with a physical attack ISO because she's energy based. If I equip her with physical, that's not going to do anything for her. I have to equip her with an all attack here, right? Because this powerful is a physical or all attack. So I have to choose an all attack. Right? So equip that. Now she's an energy attack based again, right? So I can choose all attack or energy attack. I personally don't like to waste my all attacks if I'm using it on an energy based character, right? I'd rather save those all attacks for a physical based character, right? Because that's the one that's going to need an all attack for the amplifying ISO 8, right? So I'm going to equip her with an energy attack here. See if I got a higher one. It's not going to really make too big of a difference which 3 star I choose, because they're all going to be relatively low for her. Okay. Um, in general, I try to choose all defense on both defensive options. There's going to be one physical defense. So, but I'm selecting an all defense here. Um, as you get into the 5 and 6 stars, it's a little bit harder to get all defenses. At some point you have to decide, okay, well, I'm just going to choose an energy and a physical defense. But I try as much as I can to choose the all defenses. So in this case, I only have one energy all defense. But the good thing is that every character is going to have at least one defense ISO set. So it's really not too big of a deal if I equip one of the higher. I'll just do a 4 star for now, but it's not too big of a deal because I know I'm not going to have to destroy this later, because every character ends up with defensive ISO sets. But she needs to have 2 for I am also Groot. So I'll go ahead and equip this 3 star later, because I may have to destroy one of them if I ever upgrade. Okay, and HP. So I think with attack sets, like what I was really hoping to roll was Power of Angry Hulk. So Power of Angry Hulk doesn't have HP, doesn't have the health boost. Not sure about the others. Let's check real quick. Hawkeye does. Overdrive does not. Right, so since 2 of the attack sets that I may eventually decide to switch to do not have heal, I'm going to choose a cheaper one for now. I've got so many of them that I could probably afford to waste one if I needed to, but let's do it cheap anyway, go cheap anyway. Critical rate. Only the attack sets, as far as I am aware, use the critical rate. Again, I have a lot of these, but if I didn't have a lot, again, what I recommend to you, if you don't have a lot, equip your cheap stuff first in case you decide to change it later. Okay, so now here's the other one where we have to make a decision. Okay, so remember the native stats for critical damage, critical rate, and defense penetration, right? Defense penetration is not an ISO option, right? So that one's thrown out. Critical rate, critical damage are, right? So I did not end up rolling a skill cooldown set, right? That was going to be my second option, right? And we established that I needed to bring her skill cooldown lower, right? So I'm going to have to lower her skill cooldown on the fourth gear, right? So that means, so since I'm going to have to choose skill cooldown, that means I don't have anywhere else accounting for the critical rate, critical damage, and defense penetration, right? So on her ISO option, I want to select either a critical rate or a critical damage. And let's see, I'm going to equip my 2 stars here because I'm saving my critical rates, critical damage for Proxima. So I really want to use one that's cheap. So, okay, so keep that in mind. I want critical rate, critical damage, all right? So I can only choose one of them, right? Whichever one I don't choose, I need to get from my obelisk. So let's look at what I've got in my obelisk set. Okay, so I have not accounted for critical rate, critical damage, or defense penetration. I plan to account for one of them, to account for rate or damage in my ISO. And I'm going to be equipping skill cooldown on 4th gear. So I want a obelisk that is going to have critical rate or critical damage and defensive penetration. I don't know if I have that combination, so let's see. Now I want to equip only a 4-star or higher. I don't want to equip anything less than that. So I don't have anything. So for the sake of this exercise, let's maybe, so I may contradict what I'm saying. So keep in mind that I would not be equipping anything lower than a 4-star right now. But again, since I'm just doing my initial build of her, you know, I'm not doing the final build, so I'm not necessarily selecting that's going to be something that's going to be permanent. So let's see if I've got any 2 stars, 3 stars with defense penetration. That had it. I want defense penetration and critical damage or critical rate. So I don't have that combination. That's actually really a hard combination to come by. So, all right, I'm gonna have to make a decision here now, though, right? Do I equip something with critical rate and critical damage, just one or the other? You know, what do I choose? So let's take a look at her stats again. 134 critical damage, 14 critical rate. I want her critical rate to be 25% or higher. I want her critical damage to be 150 or higher. Her defense penetration or ignore defense is at 11. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select a critical rate, critical damage for now. And I'm going to choose a 3-star because I'm thinking I may change this later. Critical rate, critical damage. So I don't want this one because the proc is based on physical attack and she's energy based. Critical damage and critical rate here. So she had 14. Adding 13% critical rate gets her to above 25. Adding 19 critical damage, that'll get her to above 150. Gives her a little bit of shield. You know, that's okay. It's nothing terrific. I'll take it, but that's not the main focus here. So this is, keep in mind, this is probably not what's going to stay on her forever. It's just for her initial build, right? So now I've got her critical rate, to above 25%, critical damage to 153, looking pretty good for the initial build. Now, I said that I wanted to get her skill cooldown to, it doesn't have to be right at 50%, just close to 50%. So her critical damage is, just above the minimum I like. I'd really like that to be higher. I really want it to be 160, 175. So now I'm going to equip a critical damage ISO. Okay, and now if defense penetration had been an option here, I would choose defense penetration because that's the last native stat that I need to work on. But it's not, so I'm choosing a critical damage. And keep in mind that I'm choosing a very low one here because I'm saving my good ones for Proxima and some others. But it is, I like to put these here because it helps me remember later what I was trying to do. So equip her with critical damage. It's kind of nice that this one has physical defense because that's what also needs to be buffed a little bit. Of course, this is not going to be the final one, and since the chaotics are hard to upgrade, ultimately, long term, what I'm going to be looking for as I get new ISO are going to be critical damage ISOs with whatever option, whatever second option. I really don't care what the second option is, as long as the first one is critical damage. Dodge would be nice. Any defense would be nice. But so long as the first option is critical damage, that's what I'm going to do later. So we're not going to see a huge change here because that 2-star didn't really do much. But you imagine if I had equipped a 5-star, 6-star critical damage, that number would go up, should go up quite a bit here. All right, so but that's the goal, is we're increasing that. Okay, so now critical damage equipped, critical rate. Now I need to get skill cooldown here. 7 are good. Switch all these others to skill cooldown. Okay, so of course eventually I would max this gear to level 20, so I would end up getting what is it, like 3 more options there. So I would not necessarily put all the rest of them on skill cooldown. What we're going to do is now we're going to look at the details again. Cooldown is only barely went up, really. So 23 plus 12 is, what did we say, 23? 24 plus 12, that's 36, right? So it does still need to go higher. Some of these I can tweak a little bit. 130, that's low. 180, that's low. 91's low. So I would definitely spend some more time. This one's fine. The first 3 are fine. The last 3 need to be tweaked, right? So I would keep tweaking them as close to the max as possible, but there's a certain point where you're just spending too much gold trying to get it up by 1 point. So you have to decide at what point do you stop spending gold trying to tweak it, right? I would increase the last ones up to skill cooldown also. Keep in mind, let's look at the ISO set. Yeah, there's no cooldown on this ISO set, so now I've got 2 gaps really on her, which are cooldown and defense penetration. For me, defense penetration is often a gap, which is why I've worked so really spent a lot of time trying to make sure that my card set fills that gap in defense penetration. So you'll see the only reason I have the ignore dodge for most characters is because of the cards that I've got with defense penetrate, or I said ignore dodge, but I meant ignore defense. The only reason I've got it is because of the defense penetration stat on my cards. Okay, so as I continue to build her, I keep those gaps in mind. Still needs defense penetration. I got to get her cooldown a little bit higher. Um, of course, energy attack is always a focus. Want to get these obelisks a little bit higher. If at some point there's a chance to make a trade-off, if I end up building a obelisk that has defense penetration and either one of the crits, I would definitely equip it and try to make up for the gaps on the other ones somewhere else, right? I hope this has been helpful. I know a lot of folks get a little bit confused when upgrading the characters. This is by no means going to be an exhaustive explanation of all the decisions you make, especially since as you start upgrading, as you tier 2 them. Actually, let's look at that real quick now that I mentioned tier 2. That also helps make a decision later. So skill damage increase, it's all damage increase, right? So, but that is important to keep in mind. Some characters, when you tier 2 them, they have an increase to their critical rate or to their dodge or to their ignore dodge, some other stats, right? So if her tier 2 had said that she was going to get a critical rate increase at tier 2, that would no longer be a concern for me, right? I could make decisions on her obelisk and ISO set that were not critical rate, because I would know that critical rate was going to get covered later when I tier 2 her. But in this case, it's not going to happen, so I still got to focus that on her gear. So with that, I think that's it. I hope this was helpful, and stay tuned for more. Thanks a lot.